Bingo halls, these places are like crack for old people. They treat them like clubs, like these retired folks. I've never heard a single SMMA agency target them. This is one of 8 different niches I'm going to give you. 3 of them are B2B industries. So if you're trying to do a B2B agency, this will also work really well for you. And the last one is the best one. It is insane how good it is. Now, there are some bingo halls in my local area, about 2 or 3 of them in my local area. Anytime I drive past one, there's one right next to my parents' house. I drive past it all the time. It is always completely packed. No parking spaces available because how many people are there? And it just looks like this ugly rundown place, but there are so many people there, right? And they make around $200,000 per year profits, which is insane. And so you could easily sell some service to them and they obviously can afford it. Now the downfall is, based on my research, there's only about 1,200 of them throughout the United States. I think there probably is slightly more of them, but 1,200, which obviously is enough to get started. But I usually try to go for industries that have around 10,000 plus companies in the United States. Also looking up bingo, owner, founder, CEO, there's only about 900 of them on LinkedIn in the United States. Now what they want, unfortunately, I haven't talked to any bingo hall owners, so I couldn't really tell you what exactly they want, but guessing, I would assume they want more old people to show up and commit their life to bingo. Bingo! And also just make more money per person that's there. So instead of making $40, $60, what if we can make $80 to $100 per person and we just got more heads showing up? So if you could deliver that for them, that'd be really good. Now outreach that would work, I think Facebook business pages, SMS, voicemail drops, or email. The industry is primarily older folks, so it might be a little harder to reach them, but it might be a good industry to try. Next one is indoor sports facilities. Okay, I have a friend of mine who runs a Facebook business page for a pickleball club, and it's actually in one of my local areas. So I went to the pickleball club. It was so packed. There was no room. I literally went up, I was like, hey, I've never played pickleball. I just want to see if we could come and play pickleball. He was like, yeah, we don't have any room available today, unfortunately, right? There was like, I don't know, 10 to 12 courts, and there was like 8 people per court and people waiting to play. It was so packed. And all this guy does is simple Facebook ads. I don't know if what he was doing is why it's so popular, right? But I'm guessing it is helping. He just says simple Facebook ads where he spends $1 to $3 per day on the Facebook business page itself, just like promoting the page. And then obviously it has a ton of members, so it's probably worked. There are 11,000 indoor sports facilities throughout the United States, ranging from soccer, basketball, volleyball, whatever else. Now I couldn't find exactly how much money they make, but judging by the pickleball courts, if they had, let's just say 100 to 200 people coming in per day, spending about $10 per session, they can be making $20,000 to $30,000 per month. Plus, they also have memberships, like $30 per month for a membership. Plus, they have leagues that come in and rent out a couple spaces for the league. So easy $30,000 to $50,000 a month with very little maintenance. Obviously, it's just a facility. Maybe someone that's there cleans the bathroom every once in a while, and that's about it. Now, what they want is more memberships, the $30 membership thing, because I can sell as many of these memberships as I want to, and it's a 24-hour place. And so if people are just coming in whenever they want, obviously, we can sell a lot more memberships than there is room, because you get the membership and then you just don't even come in. Maybe once a month you come in, right? So it would work really well if you just gave them more memberships. Now, the outreach you can do, Facebook business page outreach, SMS might work, voicemail drops or calling them might work really well too. Sometimes they have a gatekeeper, someone that's just there taking the phone calls. So that might be an issue. Also, email might work. Decking companies, there is about 7,000 to 8,000 decking companies throughout the United States. Now, if you also add fencing companies, so fencing and decking, some companies do both, that might ramp it up to about 10,000 companies total. Pretty simple. They make about $1,000 per day, anywhere between $150,000 to $200,000 per year, obviously depending on the decking company. If it's a bigger one, make more. If it's a smaller one, they make less, obviously. Now, what they want is decking jobs. So if you can help them get more decking jobs, obviously they would be extremely happy. Now, doing that through Facebook ads or Google ads obviously would work pretty well. Now, it's not extremely unsaturated because I have heard a few agencies target them. I found a few agencies, found their websites, but obviously if they're only targeting decking companies, then it's probably working for them. All right, how to reach out. You want to reach out via their phone. With these contractors, it's the easiest just to reach their phone, just because they're usually a one-man band. Usually it's them that's taking the calls, so it's usually easy to reach out there. So SMS, voicemail drops, cold calling works really well for the industries like this. Also, maybe Facebook groups or Facebook business page outreach might work, but that's basically all I would try. I've also got a free course in the description below on how to actually get 40 appointments per month on autopilot, so you can check that out. Next one is speakers. There are about 40,000 speakers throughout the United States. They make anywhere between $100,000 to $150,000 per year. Obviously, some that make less and more. Now, usually they charge anywhere between $1,000 to $10,000 per speaking engagement. And what they want is usually they're speaking at conferences or for other businesses. And so this can be very useful for a B2B agency. You can target them because we can reach out to other businesses and just offer our speaking services to them. So we can do cold email for them, LinkedIn outreach, Facebook outreach to help them get more speaking engagements, which can work really well. Now, outreach, what's really good, what I love about speakers is that there's some industries like speakers or like real estate agents where they try to promote themselves everywhere. They try to make sure everyone knows who they are, so you can really reach out to them on any platform. So you can do LinkedIn outreach, Facebook outreach, Instagram outreach, Twitter outreach, email outreach, SMS, cold calling. Literally anything can work to get calls with them. And there's plenty of speakers, so you should be able to get plenty and plenty of calls. All right, this one's a little weird, but also can work extremely well. Podcasts.
So quiet in here. How did I?
Especially business podcasts. So there are 300,000 business podcasts and millions of podcasts in general. Interesting facts about podcasts: over half podcast listeners have a full-time job. Usually 17% of them have a household income over $100,000 per year, and 30% of them have a university degree. So an educated audience, especially for business podcasts. I'm sure this is just overall podcast listeners, but if we skew just to business podcasts, obviously people that are listening to these podcasts are always usually a little more higher income, so they're willing to buy a little more. Now, the reason I'm specifically talking about business podcasts is that usually as a business podcast, what they're trying to do is they're trying to sell their consulting services or business services as a part of their podcast. So I used to listen to a podcast about subscriptions. So they would just talk about different subscriptions. They would review different subscriptions. Very interesting podcast. I don't even really know why I was listening to it, but it was interesting. I learned a little bit from it. And they were subscription consultants. Basically, they helped you as a company create a subscription as a product so that you can have monthly recurring revenue and you can make more money long term. And so we can target these podcasts that are also consultants and help them make more money through their podcast by upselling their consulting services. So if I just look up keyword podcast and consultant with title owner, founder, or CEO, there's 18,000 of those on LinkedIn. Now, what they want, there's a few different directions we can take this. So one direction is we can just help them get more listeners or make more money from their podcast by getting more listeners and also helping them upsell their service through their podcast. So helping them create a real strategy around how to actually upsell through their podcast, but also increase the listeners of the podcast itself. That's one way you can do it. Another way is you can help them create a community. I actually have someone on my team that's helping them podcast, and they're basically creating a Discord community for that podcast itself around the subject that they're talking about. You can also help them create an email list, so have them create a freebie so that they can get emails and phone numbers, because the thing about a podcast is obviously you have the subscribers, but we want to be able to touch them on every single platform. So if we can do email and SMS to them and upsell our service through that way, so we can offer freebie, turn it into an email list so that our podcast listeners aren't just on Apple Podcasts. And what if, Apple Podcasts removes us one day? Well, then we have the email list and we can take them over to somewhere else. A lot of people don't really know how to do that. So it's basically just helping them gain more of an audience and actually squeeze more money out of the current list or out of the current podcast that they're currently running. They also might want help getting consistent guests. And something that's very interesting, I've seen a couple people do this, but basically how it works is they turn their podcast into a way of doing cold outreach to actually get clients. I might make a whole video on this, but how it works is, let's just say I own a marketing company. I'm trying to target dentists. It's really hard to get dentists as clients, but what if I just created a podcast for dentists and I say dental growth podcast, right? And I just invite dentists to come on my podcast. Hey, I just want to see if you want to be on my podcast. I love what you do, right? It's kind of an ego stroke for them. And so they hop on the podcast. It's really easy to get them to show up. You basically ask questions that would be sales questions anyways, like how much do you want to grow this year? What are you doing to get that growth? And then what kind of struggles have you run into so far, right? You ask those type of questions. And at the end of the call, you just say, hey, if you want, I actually have a marketing company. I can actually help you with some of these things if you're interested. Now we've built some rapport and that can work really well. So I know people that are doing this as their full-time thing for cold outreach, and it's working really well for them to get clients. And I have other people that basically help you create a podcast just to use it for a strategy to get clients for yourself. So pretty interesting. Outreach, again, almost every strategy is going to work. So this is very similar to the speaker industry where everyone's trying to promote their podcast on every platform. So they have a Facebook page, they have an Instagram page, they have a Twitter, right? And so we can find them on every platform: cold calling, SMS, email, LinkedIn, Facebook, anything, right? And also a really great script that you can say, making it sound extremely personalized, is just by saying, hey, I listened to your most recent podcast episode. I love what you guys do. I want to see if you're open to a partnership. Or if you hit the subscribe button right now, I'm going to add 2 niches right now. I'm going to give you 2 niches rapid fire. If you just have to hit subscribe right now. Okay, cool. Awesome. Ready? Churches, they make around $200,000 a year. It's easy to look them up because you can just look up head pastor on LinkedIn. SMS, email, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram outreach would work really well. And there's also 380,000 of them throughout the United States. Very interesting. And I've only heard a couple people target churches. I actually had an agency that I worked with and they said it worked really well for them. Another one, shed sellers, people that sell sheds. They're everywhere throughout the United States. I think there's around 8,000 to 10,000 of them. They make a pretty good profit off of each shed, $2,000 to $8,000 per shed. So it's high ticket. So so it's pretty easy to justify the cost of your marketing services if you're trying to sell that. They're pretty slow throughout the winter, so if you can help them pick up the sales throughout the winter, it would work even better. SMS calling and Facebook outreach would work really well for them, and often it's just one guy that's kind of promoting everything. He just owns the place, and he's taking on all the sales, so it's usually easy to reach the owner. Also, they post a lot on Facebook Marketplace, and so if you can just reach out to, if you look up sheds on Facebook Marketplace and just reach out to people and say, hey, I'll help you sell these sheds, I'll help you sell more sheds, right? That could also work really well. All right, I just gave you a ton of value in like 60 seconds, so hopefully you subscribed. I make videos like this every week. Next up, dog grooming. There are 150,000 of them. So there's actually like 300,000, but I think 150,000 general contractors are like, they have their own little small business, you know? Now, when I was doing some research on Reddit, looking at how much they make and whatever, for some reason they talk in terms of weeks. So a lot of them were saying, I make $1,500 to $2,000 per week. Some make $2,000 to $3,000 per week. Some make $3,000 to $4,000 per week. On average, $1,500 to $2,000 per week. So $6,000 to $8,000 per month, $70,000 to $100,000 per year. So it's kind of like nail techs or barbers, you know, or anyone that's, what I love about these industries is that it's like consistent. They need it every single month. They need to groom their dog every month. They need to cut their nails every month. Well, I don't know, cut their nails. And so what they want, obviously, is they want to groom more children. Just kidding. They want to groom more dogs. And so if we can help them groom more dogs, sounds very weird, it would be amazing, right? I think helping them do SEO or Google Ads might be work really well, or just helping them promote themselves on a simple Facebook page, or just do some Facebook ads that also can work really well, because almost everybody has a dog, you know? The outreach that would work: Facebook groups, Facebook business page outreach, Instagram outreach, LinkedIn outreach, email, SMS, voicemails, calls. Since they are a one-man band, it should be pretty easy to find them and pretty easy to reach out to just them, you know, because they're the ones taking the calls and taking on all the work. Now, you might not be able to charge as much if you're, you know, selling marketing services to them, but if you sold, like, let's say a software, $200 a month or $500 a month for some marketing services, they still probably could be able to afford that, because they're making anywhere between $6,000 to $8,000 a month. So, you know, just living wages. But if, you know, their husband has a job and this is their side gig or whatever, and it's, I'm assuming that it was a woman, not that men can't groom, because they can. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Septic tank cleaning. This also can work for a B2B industry. This is pretty interesting. All right, this is people that clean poop tanks. So I don't know if you know this, but there's at least certain places, part of the world, mostly in the country, in the United States, they have septic tanks. Most people don't really understand, because if they live in the city and they just, you know, the sewer line, it just goes into the city sewers and it just goes off, right? But the septic tank basically is just a tank where your poop goes if you aren't connected to the city line, right? And so it's just a big tank underneath your house somewhere, right? And so you lift up the hole and then they just pump out the poop. That's basically it. All right. Now, what's great about this is a lot of times it's emergency jobs. So people have a backed up tank, whatever, and they just need it done right away, because they don't want, you know, the stuff to start coming up through the sewer lines, whatever, in their house. So they're motivated sellers. What they want, obviously, is more jobs, more emergency jobs, because obviously they're going to be able to pay more money, or at least they're just a motivated buyer, right? And so Google Ads or SEO service helping them get to the top, so that when I look up septic tank cleaning, they're the first to come up, obviously would be ideal. They also want grease trap cleaning. So this is where it's kind of gets into the B2B realm. Different restaurants, most restaurants that do frying, right, which is almost all the restaurants, they have to, you know, store their grease somewhere. They can't just put it down the drains, obviously. And so they need their grease traps cleaned every month or so. Now, some of them have them inside the restaurant, some of them have them outside the restaurant. If it's outside the restaurant, it's every quarter. If it's inside, it's every month. And on average, for any service that they're providing, they're usually charging anywhere between $200 to $300 per cleaning. So if it's a septic tank cleaning, it's $200 to $300, or if it's the cleaning of the grease trap, anywhere between $200 to $300. And so it's pretty easy to reach out to them and say, hey, I can get you more grease trap cleanings every month, because that's a consistent job that they can get. You know, now, I don't know if I mentioned this. There's 7,000 to 8,000 of them in the United States, and they make around $150,000 to $250,000 per year. The outreach, I've never actually done outreach to them, but based on what I see, it's just like every other contractor, where you can do SMS, voicemails, calling. Basically, reaching out directly to their phone number is probably the best one, and usually you're reaching the owner, founder, CEO itself when you're reaching out to their phone. I have really never heard anybody target this niche, so it might, because obviously no one really wants to think about that, but it might be an extremely good one, because nobody's targeting it, right? Now, this is the last one I'm going to give you. This is probably the best one, and I shouldn't be telling you this, but I am, because I love you. So please, for the love of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, subscribe. All right, real estate investors, and this can also work for B2B. I'm going to show you why. Now, there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of real estate investors throughout the United States. There's different types of real estate investors. There are ones that, you know, buy and sell like big properties, or there are ones that, you know, buy and hold single family homes, but there's also the ones, as you know, that flip houses, right? So what they're trying to do is they're trying to find find off-market properties, because if it's on the MLS, which is like the, on the market, if it's on the MLS, then it usually is just the market price, or people are just buying at the market rate, right? So it's a fixed up house, it's good to go, whatever, right? But what we're looking for is motivated sellers. What the real estate investors are looking for is motivated sellers, because a motivated seller is usually going to sell for less money, so they can get a good deal, so they're making money off of the deal, right? And so the way they find motivated sellers is by trying to do direct mail campaigns to foreclosure lists, or cold calling to foreclosure lists. It's pretty hard to find motivated sellers because it's just sending out tons and tons and thousands of flyers and getting almost no responses. But there is a way to get motivated sellers a lot faster and a lot easier. So I'm going to show you how. Now, I don't know why I thought of this, but for some reason, everybody's targeting real estate agents and not real estate investors. The investors are the ones that have money, right? The agents never have. They're just like college students that got their investor life or their real estate agent license so that they can make money while they're in college, usually. But the investors are the ones that are actually making the bank because they have money to invest in these properties, right? So why wouldn't you reach out to the investors? Anyways, so real estate investors, the way we can help them is I helped this real estate investor. And basically what we did was we reached out to real estate agents, and we said to the real estate agents, hey, I just want to see if you have any clients that have any properties that aren't on the MLS right now. I'm just looking for a good deal. Let me know if you have anything available. And obviously these real estate agents are connected with, it's what they do for a living, right? So they're connected with several different clients that have houses, or maybe that's not on the market right now because it's just not ready, it's not fixed up yet or whatever. But that might be perfect because maybe we'll fix it up for you and you just give us a discount. So we did outreach to all the real estate agents in the local area, and he was able to get a ton of partnerships with real estate agents in the local area and get a ton of deals. And you can make anywhere between $30 to $60 to sometimes $100,000 off of a real estate deal, off of like flipping a house. He made $400,000 off of one deal. And so if you can help them, just do some basic, all we did was just some simple SMS outreach to real estate agents, just saying, hey, I just want to see if we could partner up, or if you had any properties that are off the market right now that I can get a good deal on, would you be open to chat? And we hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars just from some simple outreach. And so we can offer that to the real estate investor and say, hey, we can get you a ton of off-market properties, really good deals that are off the market. And if you have anything that isn't direct mail, that isn't cold calling, that's not calling foreclosure lists, they're going to be really, or like, putting up "We Buy Houses" signs. They're going to be really interested because it's different. That's like the main thing that everybody does, and they just don't want to keep doing the same thing because it's not yielding really good results. So if we have a completely different strategy and we say, hey, we have this really good system that works extremely well, we want to see if you want to implement that system, they're going to be pretty open ears to that. Now, the outreach that would work, SMS, email, LinkedIn, Facebook, cold calling, will work really well for them when reaching out. Now, if you're trying to start an agency, I'm guaranteeing I will help you start an agency and grow it to $30,000 per month. Guaranteed. I'll help you pick the niche. I'll help you set up the system to consistently get appointments every single day on autopilot. I will scrape the leads for you. All you got to do is work the system and close the deals. I'm guaranteeing we'll get you appointments or leads or clients within the first week, and we're going to scale you to $30,000 a month. So if you're interested in that, book a call below. Thank you for watching. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. And again, bro, please subscribe.